From Studio 1A in Tampa, Florida, comes a talk show that really feels your pain and tells you like it is. We love America and all that freedom-loving Americans want to protect. Live from coast to coast and on your radio, it's For the People with Keith Allen.
We'll help you survive this thing called life. We're for the people. Whatever your source of stress or strife, for the people is there.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am Keith Allen and proudly welcoming you to this Tuesday's edition of For the People for February the 21st, 2017. Occasionally, I let you in on things that happen in my world. I so often tell you of things happening in our world, from politics to lifestyle to science. Today, it has to do with a family member that came into the world with a birth defect, and that is, I became a grandfather about 6 months ago. My stepdaughter had a kind of an interesting birth. The baby was big, and with big babies, sometimes birth defects happen, and this one happens to be with an arm of hers that got stuck. And when they get stuck on the pelvic bone, bad things happen, like nerves get severed in the arm, and she hasn't had great use in her arm. A little baby, Alicia, who's scheduled to go into surgery tomorrow, so I'm not going to be here live, but we're going to be running a program that's going to be pre-taped, if you will, and great guest, Stanton Freeman, is going to be one of them. And I will tell you that the guest will be great caliber, and it will be stimulating conversations, so you don't want to miss out. So we're going to a very good hospital in Orlando, Robert Palmer, and the team of physicians are just first class. So she's going to get great attention to try to fix these nerves, and to do so, she's right at the age where she can have this very delicate surgery for Erb's palsy. She has the worst kind. She can't put her arm up. She can't move it side to side. She can move it up a little bit, and with some therapy, move her fingers and her hand, but she just really doesn't have great control, and she's at that age where, babies can crawl around and all that, but she can't. She wants to, but she can't. And so if the surgery does go well, they guarantee with a regimented amount of therapy, she could get 80 to 90% usage back in her arm, which would be terrific. It won't be perfect. But how they do it is pretty wild. They actually have to take nerves from the back of her legs. I think this is a 6-month-old baby. And take them out and then open up her shoulder and her back and insert these. So Mom and my wife are just, kind of a ball of stress, if you will. And as we speak, they're probably arriving, or if not, in Orlando already. So I'll be meeting up to join them because the surgery, the pre-op and everything begins at 5 a.m. tomorrow morning. So your prayers, I covet. I would appreciate that greatly. I appreciate that, and I'm glad that we reach so many people every day, but, the power of one even. But if you could say a prayer, don't forget. And if you want to do a prayer chain or something like that on Facebook, I would appreciate that if you want to get that started. But I believe in the power of prayer. Yeah, she'll have some scars in her legs. Yeah. So, but, if she gets mobility of the arm, that'll be great. Supposedly, to this be, this straight white line up. I don't know how long it'll eventually be. But I think she'll be grateful if she does get that mobility going in her arm, because that would be a real terrific impairment, obviously. Life can be challenging enough without having a limb work properly. So just when you thought you had stress, and she's a beautiful girl. She really is. She brings a lot of joy, and I don't think I was quite ready to be a grandpa. here in my 40s, but she's terrific. I am enjoying the whole ride right now, and my stepdaughter, she's young, early 20s. She's a single mom, and she's handling that whole thing, I got to say, courageously. The guy just did not want to man up. That's what happens. Just ditched up, but she has been able to hold down a full-time job, keep the job, and do extremely well, up for some promotions, and really a go-getter, and she's got everything that she needs, and she makes her own money, and she doesn't even like when we buy her stuff. So I couldn't be happier when it comes to that. So we just really hoping for a great report with the surgeons, and we really will not know completely how well the surgery went for at least, they're saying at least 3 months, 3 to 6 months within that to really know. So she'll have to heal, and then she'll go into therapy. And she's something that she's been doing really for her short life, 6 months, at least 4 months of that. She's been going through a weekly deal with her doctors, where she goes in for therapy and stuff like that to exercise it and use it, and so she can remember to use it certain ways. And she's made a lot of progress, so I'm just guessing that this will get better. The mainstream media, we're battling them because of the fake news and the garbage that they propagate, and NBC is no different. And you got to add them to the list here. It's not just CNN, but NBC, CBS, all the major news networks besides Fox News. But NBC, all-time low, once again, using children. I mean, how low can you get to use little children that really ultimately don't know exactly what's going on, and using them as pawns? They probably got paid a certain amount of money to do this, and this is on their website. And these kids, as you can imagine, have less than stellar things to say about Trump. And only a month into his presidency, just 1 month, and we have to have this critical piece from NBC, and it's like a 2-minute piece with these Dear Mr. President letters. And okay, it started out kind of hopeful that we were going to have, this political outsider solve the disconnect between Washington establishment and the American people. But the conversation quickly turned to much more mature subjects. And I want you to hear the piece, but this is something that NBC, they have on their website as we speak. This is the propaganda, the garbage they do.
Every child in America should be able to play outside without fear, walk home without danger, and attend to school without being worried about drugs or gangs or violence.
Dear Mr. President.
Dear Mr. President.
Dear Mr. President.
I'm excited for a political outsider that can solve the disconnect between the American citizens and the legislators in Washington.
When you speak on things that make me feel uncomfortable or I disagree with, you make me feel small because I know I can't change it.
I want you to know that I don't like your definition of American because I don't seem to fit within it.
Most of my family is black. I'm afraid that you're going to hurt some of us blacks.
Right now, you're just kind of in the middle. You're swaying towards bad, but I think you can sway back to good.
You are here attempting to whitewash America.
You're gonna separate me away from my family, and I really don't want that because I love them so much.
You are feared among many. However, you have time to build upon that.
Some of my friends are really scared about you building a wall and the travel ban because a lot of their families live in different places.
Well, maybe next time just sit down in a quiet room and fully think about what you're going to do before you do it.
It's not fair for refugees.
There's no need to garner so much hate for countries based on the actions of a single group or organization.
Dear Mr. President, I want you to know that us kids are not always wrong.
You may be the most powerful man in the country, but you are still the servant to every single one of us.
Shut up, NBC. Shut up. Shut your pie hole. I mean, this is the garbage, the trash that the peacock, NBC is a peacock, is putting on their website and on their newscast. It's not a surprise, but this is the garbage. This is the crap that they're pushing down the American people's throats. And there's, sad to say, but there's a lot of Americans that don't think for themselves, or don't even, they don't know how to think. They just haven't had good role models or mentors in their life. And it's a shame, and maybe no fault of themselves, but they further escalate these fears, these racist fears, in these people's minds, as if this president is going to go ahead and lock the blacks up and put them on the back of the bus today. Or go ahead and deport every single illegal immigrant. It always cracks me up when we say illegals. I thought that there was a penalty to actually doing something that was illegal. The last I checked, if you break the law, there's a penalty. And you should be worried. You should be concerned. You know, there was this, and this was a thing that infuriated a lot of Republicans when Obama mentioned, remember a couple years ago that he said that he was going to allow amnesty for those that were living in the shadows, and he wanted to come out. You can see how successful that is. They didn't want to come out of the shadows. They didn't want to be accounted for. They didn't want to be on the books. And so if you don't want to be on the books, if you don't want to be accounted for, then get out. Get out. Get out of our country. He offered an opportunity for so many that were living that way that wanted to get honest. I don't know how many. It'd be nice to know what number, how many, but it apparently wasn't enough. And the billions of dollars, people don't realize this, how much this cost us annually. It's billions of dollars through the years to take care of illegal immigrants and refugees that come into our country. Billions of dollars, and you wonder why we have trillions of dollars that are in debt. All these services that people ask, America will house you. Well, Sweden's got a huge problem, so I guess Tucker Carlson wasn't so off. The Swedes, the government, didn't want to admit it, but now they have riots in their streets from these areas where they have these refugees setting cars on fire. You go to the AP right now, look at the pictures from the stock footage. It's unbelievable. It's a portrait. It's a portrait of what's to come and what is already here in our country. There's people that do not assimilate, and they won't assimilate because they have their country on their mind, on the way that they do things, that the way that they see things, but they don't see Western culture as being a home for them, and a lot of them become disillusioned, disenfranchised. And when you have that happen, bad things start happening when you don't love your country. And NBC, I don't think they love their country. I don't think they like their country. They expect people to love them, watch their TV shows. I think we need to boycott NBC and all their TV shows and all their stuff. Certainly, I don't watch the newscast. I used to watch Tom Brokaw at one time. Tom Brokaw, NBC News. NASA trying to solve the latest space shuttle toilet problems have concluded because of weightlessness, the astronauts are not able to see if there's any feet under the door. That was fun. That was the good old days. Dan Rather, Tom Brokaw, Peter Jennings. The dynasty, it's over. My choice of news these days, the two, Fox News for one, and I like a lot of the reporting done by the Blaze. There's a lot of really good reporters that work for Glenn Beck's organization called The Blaze. And you can check them out at theblaze.com. A lot of good stories, a lot of good reporting. But you have to have a source that you can trust in.